Hello, SquirrelTribe. Listen, sources for CNN are saying that the interview of Harris and Walz was originally 41 minutes long, and the Harris campaign objected to over half of the interview being shown, and they don't want to release a transcript. So we knew that the interview between Kamala Harris and Tim Walz and Dana Bash on CNN was not live, although they said it was live, like on the screen. We knew it wasn't live. We knew it was highly edited, and we knew it was 18 minutes long. We did know that there was way more that they didn't show, but I personally at the time was not aware that it was because the Harris campaign objected to it. I thought that may be the case. We talked about it, but I wasn't sure if it was them or it was CNN who was like, listen, this doesn't come across so well. We're not going to do it. Turns out it was the Harris campaign who was like, listen, this doesn't come across so well. We're not going to do this. And they still refuse to release the rest of the whole transcript of everything. We only have that 18 minutes. We do not know what else was talked about. And I think that's pretty crappy for somebody who is running for president, especially now that this person, this woman, Kamala Harris, is trying to once again flip-flop on the September 10th debate. And now she wants there to be open mic, not like an open mic, like anybody can get up there and tell their jokes and whatever else, but she wants open microphones with no muted microphones. And Donald Trump is like, listen, we've gone back and forth on this numerous times. We're doing this the way that the interview was done on CNN between myself and Joe Biden. We're not doing it any other way. ABC has come out and said, hey, listen, we're doing it exactly the same way CNN did it. That way it's fair across the board. And Kamala Harris now is trying to say that she wants open mics, and we know she wants the cheat sheet. She wants notes. They've already said no. And she said, okay, but now she's going back again and saying, no, I want open mics. It needs to be transparent for the people, transparency for the people. And I'm like, ma'am, at what point have you been transparent for the people? If you wanted to be transparent for the people, you would have had a real live interview with Dana Bash on CNN as opposed to an edited 18-minute one where you will not release the transcripts. So you don't really have room to talk about transparency at all. Just so we're all fully aware. Now, this here is extremely interesting to me. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in the last 24 hours. We're not going to go through every single bit because there's a lot. We'll have to do a little bit more tomorrow. But I want you guys to see this. This is the, what is his name? The California sheriff. He just demolished Governor Gavin Newsom and the woke agenda. This is literally the kind of agenda that we need. I want you guys to hear what he has to say here. It is a 5-minute long video. We're not going to play the entire thing, but it is important that we hear what he has to say, because too many people in power are refusing to stand up and speak. Think about in Aurora, Colorado right now, where you have the governor of Colorado saying, oh, there's no issues here with Venezuelan gangs and takeovers. That's just, imagination. Where you've got the mayor going, no, it's not. Look around. There's literal proof. There's video footage of what is going on. You have the residents telling you what's happening. You have people scared for their lives. And here you have the governor dancing and doing stupid TikTok videos, and I call it the double fisting dance that the women of the Democrat side seem to keep doing. AOC, and I think even Pelosi did it, and some other people did it. It's absolutely crazy to me. But here you have a sheriff who's like, listen, we're not going to put up with this anymore. And I want you to hear some of what he had to say.
Good morning. Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff. We are here today because California public safety is in crisis. Crime is steadily on the rise, and our public safety policy is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. I want to make this clear, and I want there to be no mistake in what I am saying. This is not by accident. The driving force in our crisis is a radical, progressive agenda fraudulently called criminal justice reform. This is nothing short of a sick and twisted social experiment where law enforcement is the bad guy and criminals are somehow victims of society and not responsible for their actions, their crimes, or accountable to their countless victims.
Now, what's interesting here is this is in California, where, in case anybody has forgotten, Kamala Harris is from, and where she keeps saying how she is why California is the way it is and how great she has done with criminals and with the Justice Department in California. And here you have the sheriff coming out saying, no, we have the worst criminal system in the entire country. We are demonizing victims and applauding criminals, and there's nothing okay with this. How do people not see this? How do people stand up and say, we should totally vote for Kamala because look what she's done, and say it like it's a good thing? The only way I could see people wanting to vote for Kamala is if they are for the destruction of the United States of America. There's no way you could look at Kamala Harris and what she has done and what the country is going through right now under her and Joe Biden and what she says she wants to do and then go, no, this sounds like a great idea. We should totally vote for her. It's going to be great, because it won't be. What I find very interesting is during the interview, I will constantly do this because it was not an interview in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion. She kept saying that her values have not changed. And I need people to really understand what that means, okay? She is telling you straight to your face that her values have not changed, meaning whatever she said from day one has not changed. Whatever else fluff and BS she has put in since day one up until now, that is the crap that is not real. It's fake. It's her saying whatever needs to be said to either get people to want to vote for her, get people to like her, get people to send money to her campaign, whatever else. But her values haven't changed. Her values being completely no on fracking, no fracking whatsoever. Her values being open borders, 100%. She feels like there should be open borders and that people who cross the border illegally are not criminals. Her values being that she believes that transgender kids or kids who think they are transgender should totally have puberty blockers or gender mutilation under 18 years old without parents' consent or knowledge. She's perfectly okay with that. Her other one is, what was the other one? Besides the open borders, there's a couple more, but her values have not changed. So now that she's flip-flopping and going, oh no, I totally love fracking, totally frack Pennsylvania. There's a reason she's saying that, because if she doesn't win Pennsylvania, she's not going to win this election. She has to win Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania would like fracking because there's a lot in the land in Pennsylvania. So they're all for fracking. So of course she has to say what she's going to need to say for them to vote for her. But all it is empty promises, empty words. At the end of the day, if somehow she gets placed into the position of president, she's not going to let fracking, there will be no drill, baby, drill. And she is not going to close down the border or put up a wall that now she's suddenly talking about. And she's not going to make it so that kids are, not allowed to have puberty blockers or gender mutilation surgery or genital mutilation surgery until after 18. She's not going to do any of those things because she still sticks by her original values. Her original values have not changed. And those are the things that we all have to keep in mind. I just wanted to reiterate that for people who may not realize, because it took me a second to go, wait a second. When she says her values have not changed, but it sounds like she has because she keeps flip-flopping. And I'm like, oh, wait, no. She's telling you exactly what she's all about. You just have to really, really, truly hear it. This is funny to me. There was this little interview and they asked this woman if, they asked mixed race voters to react to the presidential race. And I just want you to hear what this woman had to say.
A minimum of three
where am I at?
More victims.
Nope, there we go. Wrong one. Sorry, guys.
Some kinship towards her as a mixed person?
Not personally. I find a lot of her trajectory to not be my brand of woman leader. We've got 3 major international crises going on and someone applying to be commander-in-chief. As a woman, I want to see you do more than, appeal to giggling and having a girl moment on the stage.
Exactly. This is another female who thinks like I do. I don't care about your laughs and your joy and your whatever else. And your giggling is, geez, it's annoying. Like, I know sometimes I can be a little ugh to people because of the way I'm all over the place. But, bro, she uses it as like a way to endear herself to other people. Very demure kind of thing. Not so much. A lot of people have an issue with her and she either knows it and doesn't care or doesn't see it. And I don't want somebody who's blind to how people feel about them running, the country. You need to have some sort of social awareness of what people are saying about you, how people feel about you, because it is very important as a president. This one here, this is CNN fact-checking Comrade Kamala. This was posted by AJ Huber over on X. This is CNN fact-checking Kamala's claim that she made it clear on the debate stage in 2020 that she opposed banning fracking. She just lied in front of all Americans. I want you to hear, she's been all over the place with everything. If I can get this to play. Let's see if I can get back to the beginning. Here we go. Da-da-da. I know this would be better if I edited, but
The fact check bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. So let me take you through this kind of saga. So here's what she said at a CNN climate town hall in 2019 on the subject of a fracking ban.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes.
That was quite clear. So she ended her 2020 presidential run in December 2019. The only debate she participated in 2020 was the general election debate with then Vice President Mike Pence. And I went over the transcript of that debate tonight. Nowhere in there does she make clear that she had abandoned her previous support for a fracking ban. Rather, she repeated that Joe Biden, the head of the Democratic ticket at the time, would himself not ban fracking. So listen to what she actually said in that 2020 debate.
Joe Biden will not end fracking. He has been very clear about that. I will repeat, and the American people know, that Joe Biden will not ban fracking.
So it makes perfect sense that at the time she was speaking on behalf of Biden, the president, not the vice president, sets administration policy. But maybe other people feel differently. I certainly did not hear anywhere in there Kamala Harris saying that she personally had abandoned her previously expressed 2019 view. Rather, again, she was speaking for Joe Biden.
And the reason this is important is because during that interview with Dana Bash, she said that she made it clear in 2020 that she was not against fracking anymore, that she wasn't going to ban fracking. She wasn't against it, blah, 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 blah. And you can clearly see that, yes, she was. And now, again, she's flip-flop Harris for a reason. She's trying to tell people what she thinks they want to hear. And this was after Dana Bash reminded her that she must win Pennsylvania. That's when she brings up the, oh, no, there's no ban. I would not ban fracking, because she understands that that's going to be a big ticket item for voters in Pennsylvania and other states. She cannot be trusted is what it all comes down to. She just can't be trusted because she is willing to go backwards on every single thing that she has said. She doesn't actually stick to anything. We have to remember what she did say is that her values haven't changed. So anything she says after, basically 2020, in my opinion, or the very, very beginning of the presidential race here in 2024, you have to remember everything since those initial words that came out of her mouth, everything else is just, it's BS in hopes of getting your vote. And then she's going to go back to who she really truly is. Now, Tim Walz, during that interview, made the comment how, if Donald Trump wins, then there's going to be no reproductive care for women and nobody can get IVF. It's going to be banned and whatever else, which is just absolute horseshit. Every time Tim Walz, we got to talk about horses, obviously. I need you to hear exactly what happened when Tulsi Gabbard and Trump were together, the conversation that they had, because Tulsi Gabbard shared an extremely personal story about how she and her husband couldn't get pregnant. The IVF was the only option in last resort, and it ultimately didn't work for them, unfortunately. So she's thankful that Trump is giving other couples a chance with his new IVF policy. It's very emotional as a woman to talk to anybody about the fact that you aren't able to have children. Not all. There are plenty of women out there who don't want to have kids. There's nothing wrong with that. But for women who do want to have children and something in their body won't allow it, it's devastating. If you have, you can't get pregnant. If you get pregnant, but you have miscarriages, if you can't keep a baby to term, or something happens during the birth and you lose the baby, these are like heartbreaking, gut-wrenching situations that women have to endure. Men aren't losing children. They're not having miscarriages. They're not the ones not being able to get pregnant and sustain life and keep our species going. This is on a woman. And so it's very personal and emotional, and it affects self-esteem and confidence and all kinds of things in women who are having issues when it comes to pregnancy, right? So for Tulsi Gabbard to get on this stage in La Crosse, I think it's Wisconsin, and have this conversation in front of not just Trump, but all these people and cameras, that takes a very, very strong individual, in my opinion. And I think that it was absolutely amazing that she was willing and able to get up there and share this personal story of hers. But I want you guys to hear exactly what happened in this conversation between her and Donald Trump.
This is only the second time I've spoken about it publicly, but my husband and I were married almost 10 years ago. We wanted to start a family. We were very excited about it. Unfortunately, it was very difficult. We were not successful in trying to get pregnant. For us, IVF seemed to be the only option and the last resort. As you know, it's a pretty difficult process. It's very, very expensive.
Very invasive.
I was in Congress at the time, traveling. I would carry the medicine that I had to administer shots to myself sometimes in an airport bathroom. And And ultimately, the most difficult part was every time going to the doctor for another transfer and hoping that it would result in a positive pregnancy test, and then being heartbroken over and over every time that test came back negative. Now, I know some of your opponents, your political opponents, are saying that you want to ban IVF. Well, it did for us. It's worked for a lot of families. And I just know that there are women and couples in this crowd, or those who are watching here tonight, who may be going through this same struggle and are concerned about being able to have this option, either because they might not be able to afford it, or they're concerned that it just may not be available. And I'd love for you to talk to them about how they should feel.
Well, thank you very much, Tulsi. And I didn't know about your situation. And it's tough stuff, right? Tough. Life is pretty tough. It can be beautiful, but it can be difficult. We are doing something with IVF, because IVF, as you know, from friends and people you know, it's really worked out very well for a lot of people. It gave them a child when they would not have had a child. And I told my people I wanted to look at this a couple of weeks ago. And as you know, we have no taxes on a thing called tips, you know that. And I said, tell me, we did three things. We did that, and we did no tax for seniors on Social Security benefits.
Huge.
And I've been seeing a lot of IVF, and I kept hearing that I'm against it, and I'm actually very much for it. In fact, in Alabama, where the judge ruled against it, and I countered the judge and came out with a very strong statement for it. And the Alabama...
You were very quick in your response to that.
I was, but they were too. They were amazing. The legislature approved virtually my statement. I'm in full IVF, and it has really gone, it's terrific.
So he is for IVF. I remember reading about it when Alabama court made it so that you couldn't get IVF. They like banned IVF. I'm like, who are you to decide how a family can like get pregnant? Like, that was crazy to me. That didn't make any sense. And so Donald Trump has been looking into it since then. And for him now, he's talking about trying to get it so that IVF is something that's covered under insurance. Maybe not 100%, obviously. You still have your co-pays, your whatevers, or trying to get it so that it's some sort of program through the government, depending. I'm sure there's going to be criteria that has to be met. But I think that's great. Now, a lot of people may not agree with it because they don't think that, insurance companies should have to eat that cost. It may hurt taxpayers at the end of the day, or people in the insurance block, whoever you've got, maybe you're having to pay more because of this. And that's probably going to happen. That might be a possibility. But I still think it's something worth looking into for Donald Trump and his administration. And I think it would help a ton of families, because there have been more like a lower birth rate the last... how many years they say, 10 or 20 years, lower birth rate. And when you have the left obviously pushing transgender this and LGBTQIA, whatever, plus stuff there, and genital mutilation, you're going to have even less children, because you're literally destroying men and women from being able to, I don't know how else to really put that, but in order to procreate, you need sperm and you need eggs. And if you keep trying to convince people with sperm that they don't want sperm, and you keep trying to convince women with eggs that they don't want eggs because they want to be the other whatever, you're going to have a harder time having babies. So the fact that Donald Trump is for IVF and wants to do something with it, I think is great. Now, I'm only going to show a very small clip of this because it's not something that YouTube really wants to be shown. And it's so weird that mainstream media isn't really talking about this. But Trump was in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I believe this was yesterday. So he was in Johnstown, Pennsylvania yesterday, massive crowd. And then he went to Washington after that for Moms for Liberty. He had a very, very full day yesterday. But while he was in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, this was a developing story. This guy, you guys can see him here. I can only play a little bit of this, but this guy, can I do audio? Probably. I don't know if YouTube will pick it up or not. But this guy tried to get into, jump the stage. I want you to see how fast. Y'all see how fast security and police officers. I don't see Secret Service there. I see police officers and, men getting that guy down. And then, of course, look up here. You have people running to film the whole thing. But they got him, thankfully. But, there's always going to be that one crazy person who tries to bum rush a stage weirdly. I don't know what this guy was planning, what he thought he was going to do, but I do love the fact that the actual police were there and that he wasn't, and although Donald Trump has said that the Secret Service did their job in Butler, Pennsylvania, they did a really shitty job. We know that. We saw everything that's been coming out since July 13th about what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania with the 2 shooters and with all the miscommunication and the don't acts and the whatever else. I wouldn't really trust the Secret Service myself either. So I'm glad he had the actual, look, there's the guy. Can y'all see that's the guy that they're taking away with the sunglasses on? Oh, we'll get a better view. Come on, come back. That guy. I don't know who he is, what his problem was. I don't know what he was going to try, but that could have easily been the second assassination attempt on Donald Trump if that person had made it through there. If we had been relying on the Secret Service to stop them, that could have gone horribly wrong. But thankfully, the officers in Pennsylvania, in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, were able to stop this man, which is good. This, I mean, when you have a crowd that big, you're hoping that nobody in there is batshit crazy, but sometimes, you know, people slide through the cracks. This is extremely important, and I hope that this goes through. I hope this is real. Colin Rugg has posted about it. Laura Loomer has posted about it. I think even Charlie Kirk has posted about it. Maybe even Benny Johnson's talked about it. Now we're going to talk about it over here on Squirrel Tribe. So there is a guy, in theory, named Jeff Walz, W-A-L-Z, meaning Tim Walz's brother. That's what we're seeing here. Let me show you guys this. This guy next to Tim Walz definitely looks like Tim Walz. They definitely look related. So according to this, Tim Walz's brother says he is considering joining forces with Trump. Says his brother is, and I quote, not the type of character you want making decisions about your future. Jeff Walz's Facebook profile was discovered by Laura Loomer, who found several stunning posts. And it says here that I didn't click the rest of this. According to this, Jeff Walz says that he hasn't spoken to his brother in 8 years. He's 100% opposed to his ideology. My family wasn't given any notice that he was selected and denied security the days after. So they didn't get any notice that their, family member was going to be on a campaign trail with Kamala Harris to be her running mate, her vice president. They got no notification. And then of course they're like, well, now we have people coming at us out of the woodwork. Like, we need security. We are your family. They're coming at us. And Tim Walz is like, no, you don't get nothing. So they have no protection from anybody who would be coming at them. They had no notice. So can you imagine, just you walk out your door and there's tons of reporters or random people and you're like, what the hell are you doing here? They're like, oh, because you're your brother. And he's like, I haven't talked to him in 8 years. What'd he do? Then he says here, somebody said, help MAGA, get on stage with President Trump and endorse him, help save the country. And Jeff says, I've thought hard about doing something like that. I'm torn between that and just keeping my family out of it. The stories I could tell, not the type of character you want making decisions about your future. This is what my husband and I were talking earlier. He had a live stream on his channel, and I was saying that Tim Walz, to me, my opinion on this, he seems like that uncle that your children don't want anything to do with. When your kids are young or growing up at any point in time, and if they don't want to hug somebody, you should never force them to hug somebody. Don't ever force your children to sit on somebody's lap. Don't force them to interact with adults, because that's breaking their boundaries. But if you see children who don't interact with a certain family member or a certain family friend, to me, that is a massive red flag. If nobody wants to hug Uncle Tim or sit on Uncle Tim's lap or be alone in a room with Uncle Tim, that says a lot to me. And the way this man says that he hasn't spoken to his brother in 8 years, there are children, I am wondering if Tim Walz is the Uncle Tim that people in the family don't want near their children. That's just my thoughts based off of what came out previously about the anti-bullying club that he started at the high school that he worked at, and how it was only allowed to be gay boys in the club. There could be no straight guys, no girls, no whatever. It was all gay boys only. That was weird to me. That was very weird to me. So those are the things that are happening right now. Now, what I do want to talk to you guys about just really quickly, and then I'll let you go because, it's Saturday. People have stuff to do. I was watching Stephen Gardner earlier, friends with Stephen Gardner, love him, he's great. And he was talking about how the Democrats cannot let Donald Trump win for numerous reasons. The fact that Donald Trump has RFK Jr. now backing him and they're backing each other, and RFK Jr. wants in, and Donald Trump said, I'm going to make you the head of the CIA. The Democrats can't allow that. There is so much stuff that they as not even just the Democrats, but whoever's pulling the strings for the Democrats themselves, whoever's at the very, very top that we have no idea who all the individual people are that are pulling all the strings, right? There's so many things that they don't want out, that they don't want the public to know about, because it'd be like leaving the Matrix, right? You've unplugged and now you can see things for exactly what it is. You've been red pilled. They don't want the whole world to be red pilled, because they're like, we can't have that. Everything will fall apart. It will be destruction. We can't have, RFK Jr. taking over the CIA and releasing the files on JFK's assassination. We can't have any of that going on, which there's way more than that. Maybe you'd find out stuff about MLK Jr. Maybe you're going to find out stuff about Nixon. There was extra stuff that we don't know about. Maybe with even the beginning of the country, maybe there's stuff that we don't know about that they're trying to keep under wraps. They cannot let President Trump be President Trump for the 47th presidential. I don't even know how to phrase that. He was 45, but they can't let him be 47. That's what we're going with, because there's too much at stake for the Democrats to let him in. And I feel like we have to keep an eye on it. Like when you go out, I've said it before, when you talk to people, talk to them about the hard topics, talk to them about the economy, talk to them about, who they think is going to be best for this country, talk to them about what they want out of the next 4 years out of their leader, and see how people really do feel and which way they're leaning, because we as people can pretty much gauge where the votes are all going to go. I don't see anybody so far that is voting for Kamala Harris. I have not driven around and seen any Kamala Harris flags. I've only seen Donald Trump. I haven't seen anybody, screaming from the rooftops how they, can't wait for Kamala Harris to take office. We just see these things on CNN and MSNBC, not really anywhere else. We have to have those conversations and remind people what's at stake if we go with a Kamala Harris president. Like, it's not going to be good in the long run. I think things would be much, much better under Donald Trump. Is everything he has done and will do perfect? No, of course not. Of course not. You can't expect that out of any single person. You're not going to agree with every single thing, no matter who the president is. But I do know that whatever Kamala Harris would bring into the Oval Office would destroy this country. That is my personal opinion on it, which I am entitled to, and you are perfectly entitled to feel differently. But I do think that it's important to look at both sides. That's it. Look, I'm wearing my motion sickness bands today in case anybody's curious what is happening over here. Went on a boat this morning because my mom's here, so we wanted to do something fun now that she's, in Florida instead of Georgia with us. So we did a boat thing, and there was a lot of sun, and I burnt the crap out of myself. Y'all can see it's red right there, and I get motion sickness very easily, and the water was very choppy, so these will be worn all day long. Anybody else deals with motion sickness? These things are like $8 at Target and Walmart. They're called C bands, like literally SEA bands, like $8. Lifesavers. That's all I'm going to say about that. But Squirrel Tribe, I love you. I will see you guys again tomorrow. So until then, have a fabulous rest of your evening. Goodbye.